Good morning, my fellow Americans. Today I'm going to explain my views on the environment and the usage of energy in the United States. Our country is constantly affected by rising gas prices, and this often causes stress to millions of Americans. This comes from the fact that we rely on foreign nations for our supplies of oil, such as Canada and Mexico. There are also many other natural resources that the United States imports every day, and this causes further stress on our energy dependency. I want to work to improve America from an environmental standpoint where we can make this country a cleaner and more efficient place to live. I'd like to gradually create a system that would lead the United States to self-sufficiency. I understand that this transition will take place over many years, not overnight. If elected, over my 4 years in office, I'll work hard that we take the necessary steps to achieving this goal. In order to become self-sufficient, it is necessary that we begin to use our own energy reserves in order to cease from importing these resources. Along with using our sources minimally, we need to create various forms of alternative energy. These sources will include the use of solar panels in order to create more sources for electricity instead of using other materials that may harm the environment. It is also essential to create thousands of windmills in the unused land across the United States. I would refrain from building windmills on any land where it would significantly harm an animal's habitat. I will experiment with the use of cold fusion and other energy sources as well in order to create the most efficient system possible in the United States. In order to create more income, I also plan to export oil and other resources that we have excess in order to make profits that will help finance this environmental campaign. Also, these sources of income will help deplete the national deficit as well. By exporting materials, our economy will naturally be stimulated, and our country will also be a cleaner place to live. If these changes are implemented, many people may have less health problems because they are not exposed to harsh materials and chemicals, factories, and other job settings. This will save more money in hospitals and may lower the number of patients with chemical-causing diseases such as cancer. The overall population would be healthier because the environment they live in is healthier. I also feel very strongly about protecting animal rights. Endangered species should be reserved in the most natural and comfortable habitats possible. It is therefore necessary to introduce a bill that would protect natural ecosystems from being industrialized and any sort of building on that land. I admire the wildlife preserves already established in the United States and hope to create more in order to preserve the life and health of all animals. I believe that America can become a self-sufficient nation that will be a cleaner and healthier place for all beings. I vow to work to implement alternative energy sources across the nation. I plan to create income from the exportation of natural resources in order to pay off these energy sources. I will work to preserve wildlife and the environment to make this country more successful. I hope that you will choose to assist me in planning an idea for a better world. Thank you.
Questions?
You talked about cold fusion. What do you believe about fission? Do you think you should continue using that? What with all the waste that it produces?
Nuclear energy accounts for about 5% of the total energy production in the United States, and it's a well-known fact that nuclear fission does produce harmful radioactive material. Now, in recent years, scientists have been investigating ways to successfully eliminate this radioactive waste in an environmentally safe manner. And until that time, and until we can successfully say that these waste from fission reactions can be safely disposed of, I would be opposed to any increase in investment in this sort of energy. But when it comes to, say, nuclear fusion, and I know that there hasn't been many developments in this source of energy, I would propose investigations into this because it produces reliable and sustainable, clean form of energy.
Are you willing to give companies and individual people tax exemptions or credits or things like that if they put solar panels on their house or use turbines or whatever?
I think it's important to reward people that do take steps that promote alternative energy solutions and energy independency. So for these people who take the initiative and do put solar panels on their business, I believe that they should receive some sort of tax deductions for their contributions to making America more environmentally friendly.
You mentioned putting alternative forms of energy, things that produce them, in more places in the United States. Would you put them in places like national parks, or do you think that's kind of off limits?
I feel like it would be kind of counterintuitive to place these alternative energy solutions in these areas where we're trying to preserve wildlife, as these energy sources such as windmills have been proven to disturb the natural habitats of birds and other migratory species.
You guys should kill me. Oil. Everybody knows it can be environmentally unfriendly. They think we have a lot more than what we thought we had. Do you think that's a solution for us to drill more, or do you think that we should go in another direction?
I think it's important to have a mix of tapping into these newly found oil reserves and investing in alternative energy solutions. At this time, it's absolutely certain that alternative energy cannot be the sole source of energy for the United States. There needs to be the continued use of fossil fuels in order for this country to continue to function. Now, with the Bracken oil reserves that were found under North Dakota and Montana, these are newly tapped oil reserves that are in the United States and that we don't have to rely on foreign nations for. And there's also millions of acres of public land, onshore and offshore, that have not been used for public drilling, but there are sources of oil in these areas. Now, these can be harnessed successfully in an environmentally safe way. But there needs to be a mix of these alternative energy sources and the continued use of fossil fuels.
If elected, how will you ensure that all companies follow the regulations concerning the conservation of energy?
There needs to be certain standards, and there are certain standards set for environmental protection and continued use of clean energy. The EPA and other regulatory agencies, they face the burden of ensuring that these standards are met constantly, and there needs to be constant investigations and evaluations into businesses to ensure that they meet these environmental standards.
Sorry. It's kind of the same question for oil. We have a lot of coal, and a lot of people depend, like West Virginia and parts of Pennsylvania, depend on extracting coal, but it's not a very clean source of energy. Would you get rid of coal entirely, knowing that you would destroy certain economies in certain states, or would you have a plan if you don't want to use that as much?
The key to coal is to drill in a safe manner. We can't have these open coal mines that are found in, say, China, where they're known to cause massive areas of pollution. And there also has been developments in, like, it's called green coal, where the coal is used in a more environmentally friendly way. Now, if there continues to be developments in this area of using coal in a safe way, then I would promote the continued use of coal as some sort of energy resource.
Anything else? One more question for you. Marcellus Shale, where are you on drilling, the natural gases out of that?
Well, in the Northeast particularly, and in the lakes in the Northeast, there's been many citizens who have complained of fracking, which is really, if you don't know, it's like a blasting procedure in order to harness natural gas in these lakes, because the natural gas is often found under the lakes. So, and it's shown to have some environmental defects, as in, like, you could throw a match into the lake and it'll burn because there's oil that seeps into the lake. Now, the Marcellus Shale natural gas reserves can be accessed in a safe manner where there's no environmental fallout from the some sort of environmental leakage into the environment, then oppose